Hey folks, welcome to a Love Make Share video. It has been a long time since I've actually taken the time to do a video. There's a bunch of stuff in the pipe, but none of it is stuff that I've gotten around to doing yet. So I thought I would take a minute to walk you guys around an old build I did and then do a quick unboxing of parts that I just received for a new build. This is this is Google Cardboard. This is a very cheap, very low cost, very DIY head-mounted display for virtual reality experiences. We'll talk about the pieces and the premises behind this in a sec, but let me show you basically what this is. So Cardboard is VR for your phone. It uses the internal gyros and accelerometers in a modern smartphone to provide you with kind of a rudimentary VR experience. So Cardboard itself is about getting VR into people's hands in a way that is fairly unobtrusive. It's not as immersive as proper VR. Screens on smartphones tend to have a slightly lower refresh rate. They certainly can't churn out as many frames per second as the big PC or console-based VR stuff. But it's still really interesting, and there are a lot of really interesting games, and the kids love it. So here you can see like the split screen that comes up when you're actually looking around in VR. So there's all sorts of little experiences with Cardboard, and there's a ton of other games as well. So if you look through here quickly, you can see like there's Cardboard by Digibon Games that I absolutely love. Kaiju Fury is a trailer. Lamper is a game that the kids really love. There's a Mercedes kind of racing experience and some roller coaster stuff. Trinus VR is something that I'm going to experiment with once I finish a proper build. Basically, it turns your phone into a VR HMD for the PC. So I think that'll be a lot of fun to play with. Coming back to this thing. This is where the head mounting comes into it. Open it up. Launch a Cardboard demo. So, for example, that. In theory, there would be magnets mounted on the HMD. So as you can see, there's a little forest. As you turn around, you can see that there's a cartoon going on. It's very wonderful. And each side gives, so right eye view, left eye view gives the illusion of depth. Now, why is this thing so big? Why does it have to be so big? Short answer is it doesn't. It has to do with kind of the principles of how VR works and really how lenses work. So there are basically two measurements that you really need to know to make some sort of VR experience work. Here's your display. You've got your left eye and right eye image, right? So this side shows what your left eye is supposed to see, this side shows what your right side is supposed to see. At that point, at the other end, you have your lenses for your left eye and your right eye. And the measurements that you need to know to make this work are the interpupillary distance, so the distance between one pupil and the other. It's kind of a little sad face there. But yeah, this distance here between this pupil and this pupil, you can say average kind of around 6 centimeters. Average is great, but if you're looking at like my giant face versus my kids' faces, that's going to vary quite substantially. And the other distance that you need to know is the distance between the lens and the screen. What distance does the lens actually focus the image? At what distance is this image actually in focus based on how the lens refracts light into your eyes? This is the focal length or the focal distance. So The lenses that I have in this monstrosity of a head-mounted display, these are out of dollar store magnifying glasses. They've got a focal distance of roughly 10 centimeters, and 10 centimeters is fairly large. As you can see, it means that this, as a head-mounted display, like, this is just bashed together out of cardboard and whatnot. But it kind of proves that these are not well suited. It makes the whole thing very top heavy, and it makes it want to slip off your head. So this is all, like, this is tricked out about as much as I could get with the current optics. Well, that's a lie. It has no magnets. Google Cardboard looks for magnets to use as input. It does have a spot for the camera to look through as a pass-through. It does have a spot to access, to plug in USB, either for power, not recommended because it'll heat everything up really fast, or USB on the go, so you can use, say, an Xbox 360 controller with it. Here is for headphone jack, so some of the demos have kind of binaural audio stuff going on that gives you a real nice sense of depth. This is too big. It's way too big. So we're going to get rid of this. And we're going to start developing a new HMD that has a few criteria. One, the Sharpie's almost dead. Interchangeable faceplates. Basically, I want to be able to do a quick swap of the faceplate with the lenses in it. Have one with my giant interpupillary distance, and one that's more suited to my kids' tiny faces with the eyes closer together. So interchangeable faceplates are important. Two, right now, changing from one app to the other really sucks. So I want a manual control for the home button. And then I want to develop kind of a cartridge system. There are a very limited number of VR games that I actually want to spend time in, so I have 10 or so, maybe 20 or so NFC tags that I can program the address of an app into it, and then slot it into the HMD, and it will just automatically launch that app. So interchangeable faceplates, manual control for home, cartridge system. 4, smaller. Right, so since with better optics, that focal distance, so here's the lens, here's the phone, that focal distance can be much smaller. I want a better head strap so that I don't have to hold the thing with my hands, especially if I'm going to be using it for VR on the PC. So probably a head strap that goes over like this and has some sort of cushioning or padding at the back. And then finally, magnets. 1, because magnets are cool. 2, because a lot of the cardboard demos see them, it sees them as an input device. So you can have 2 magnets like so. They've got interacting magnetic fields. Because modern smartphones have magnetometers and stuff on them, if you move the magnets around, the magnetic field changes and cardboard reads that as an input. So this is kind of the goal. Interchangeable faceplates, manual control for home, cartridge system for apps. I want it to be smaller. I want a better head strap. Magnets, because magnets are cool. What is this going to look like? It's probably going to look a fair bit like Samsung's Gear VR. Gear VR was developed initially for the Note 4, which is the smartphone that I have. The Note 4 screen is very similar to what was in the last version of the Oculus Rift dev kit. So I'm well set for phone, but the chassis is awful. So here's kind of what I'm envisioning. So here's the front for the phone. I want to leave it as open as I can, so that I don't, so that heat does not become an issue. So here's my little cartridge system. The NFC reader is somewhere near the middle of the phone. I'll have to check exactly where that is. On this side, I'm going to have magnetic switch. So there will be a magnet in the switch, and there will also be a magnet in the body. So moving the switch up and down will change the magnetic field, and cardboard will register an input. So yeah, this stuff is all open. Probably want to have housing on either side here. Again, hole for the headphone jack. On this side, I'll want a hole for USB on the go. What else? If this is open, I don't need a dedicated hole for camera pass through. What else? So I need my straps, and probably a strap coming over the top of the head like so, and then some sort of cushioned kind of nexus point back here. So this is kind of the general way I'm expecting it to look when all is said and done. It'll be open at the front, closed at the sides. I'll have to have some sort of like sponge padding around here to create a nice seal and light block everything. And of course, it'll have to have the new optics in it and this interchangeable faceplate thing back here. Boo-boo-boo. And unlike my other one, since I'm going to have a bunch of other input methods, like the magnet and USB on the go, I'm not going to leave it open at the bottom. This time around, I'm actually going to close up the entire system. A little bit concerned about heat and stuff in that case. Like heat dissipation is kind of the main thing for this. There's not going to be any fan in it or anything. At this point, I'm not looking to add any extra battery or anything, because that would interfere with my ability to patch in USB on the go. So basically, it's just going to be a fairly elaborate plastic cardboard setup. Plastic cardboard, whatever. So this is the goal. I need new optics because those dollar store magnifying glasses were great for an experiment, but in terms of actually making this something that I would want to use for any length of time, it has to be much smaller. Like the thing with these phone-based systems is that all of the weight is in the front, right? That's why this is going to be nice, because it will distribute some of the weight towards the back of my head and actually over the crown of my head. But ultimately, most of the weight is still going to be pulling it down towards the front. So, of course, that's where this comes in. Whoop. This is an order I placed with Edmund Optical. Let's take a look. This was suggested in a thread on Reddit in the /r/cardboard subreddit. So let's take a look at what we've got here. We've got some documentation that I'll look at in a second, but in the meantime, you probably noticed that the box was already open. I wanted to take one of the lenses out and show the kids earlier, so I will do the same with you. So these are lenses with a 4.2 millimeter, 4.2 centimeter, 42 millimeter focal length. Come on now. Yeah, I don't know what's with this bag. It looks kind of sketch, but the lens itself is quite nice. It's heavy. It's really heavy. Look how thick that is. And I don't know if this is standard for other I mean, I guess it has to be this thick to have such a short focal length. Boo. There we go. There's focus, more or less. But yeah, it's really quite nice, and this will let me make a much shorter. This will let me make a much shorter head-mounted display. So I have 2 of these. Obviously, you need 2 of them to make them work. What else do we have in here? This is my first order from Edmund, so educational stuff. I am not currently teaching, so this is not super helpful, although I may pass this on to the science teacher at my old school. Proper care and handling of optics. Now this is kind of great. The oil on your fingertips can sometimes damage the coating on optics. Oh, God. Well then. So I guess I'm going to clean the lenses after, because, you know, of course I put my grubby fingers all over them. Always handle optics by the edges. Well, that I was doing okay with. Never handle optics with metal tools. No fear there. Everything I'm going to be using is plastic for this. Let's see, what else? Always place an optic on a clean, soft surface, especially if the optical surface is cotton. So, this is great. This is really nice. I really like this. This is really good advice on how to help maintain these. Isopropyl alcohol to clean, reagent grade methanol, fun, deionized water. Good. This is good. This is great. Of course, Edmund Optics recommends its own lens cleaner. Now, these lenses I don't think are actually Edmund, like they're not Edmund Optical branded. It's Anchor. Oh, Anchor Optics, the division of Edmund Optics. All right, makes more sense. The price was pretty good on these. I was quite pleased. About $7.50 each, and that's a lot of precision glass for $7.50. I think that's okay if anybody knows better deals. Like, that's certainly one of the better deals that I was seeing. Please let me know in the comments below if you know where I can get better deals on optics. Because ideally, I guess the system I'm going to make is going to be able to, you're going to be able to take the lenses out of one faceplate and put them into another. That's a lot, like based on this little care booklet, I maybe don't want to be handling the lenses that much. I probably don't want to be, yeah, look how short that focal distance is. Oh, that's nice. That'll be so much better. I probably don't want to be handling these as much as perhaps I had initially intended. And then sales order. Yeah, 40 millimeter by 42 millimeter. 42 millimeter focal distance. I think that's great. That'll allow me to make something that's a lot more along the lines of what we're seeing in the other HMDs that are actually coming to market. Now, of course, this is just going to be for messing around on the PC and with the apps on my phone. Maybe to develop some stuff. I don't know. People have been trying to get me into Unity development. I don't think that's a thing that's going to happen. It's nice that they continue to try though, but I may chit chat with somebody at some point to try and make a couple of little VR demos. All the tools are there. It's becoming easier and easier all the time. HMD, old and busted lenses, phone, new hotness. I can basically get going. I bought a whole bunch of sheet styrene as well from Hobby House Limited here in Ottawa. I have way more of it than I need to finish my current build. I built a vacuformer a little while ago, and like I have oodles and oodles. Like, I have more styrene at this point than I know what to do with. So I can basically start designing the new HMD, and as soon as I get measurements that I'm happy with, I can start building. In the meantime, of course, other projects that I'm working on that I'm gonna show you very quickly. Work has continued on the post-apocalyptic Camaro, which I'm not gonna talk about a ton here because there are other videos that are going to be coming out about it later on, but the Camaro has received some upgrades. It's looking pretty good, if I do say so myself. The backdrop needs more work, including a little bit of vacuum forming work, but right now this I don't think is on par with the quality of the paint job and the work on the car itself. So a few more upgrades to the car, definitely upgrades to the backdrop. I need more cargo for this. Incidentally, I think by the time I'm finished this, I will have seen more than enough of it. So if you like the look of this as an art piece, send me a message. I am going to be looking for a buyer when it's complete. And then I have another build on the go. This is the beginning of a spaceship. This is the main and secondary hulls for a Romulan War era spaceship in the Star Trek universe. Go to lovemakeshare.ca. You can find a blog post telling you a little bit more about the ship and find out what it's actually going to look like when it's done. So those are the projects that I've got on the go in the interim while I'm still in the design phase on the new HMD. And there's 100 other things. I'm also planning a wedding with my fiance, which also deserves more time. Like, all of these projects deserve more time than I'm giving them right now. It's always the way. So thank you very much for watching. Stay tuned. I know I have been slacking, but with a little bit of luck, I will start pushing out some of the backlog of videos. I've got a bunch more workbench time-lapse videos. I've got a video of building the vacuum former. Stay tuned, and thank you for watching. Like, share, subscribe, all that jazz. Bye.